Good morning or good afternoon, everyone, depending which side of the country you're on. And welcome to today's webinar. My name is Alex Paul from InvestorStream, and I'll be your host today. Presenting for you this morning or this afternoon is Codeifai Limited CEO and Executive Chairman John Houston and Chief Operating Officer Martin Ross, who will provide investors with an update on operations and the company's strategic pivot in 2024. Following the presentation, John and Martin are available for a short Q&A session. Please feel free to send in your questions via the question pane in the Zoom control panel or email them to me at alex@investorstream.com.au. Finally, a copy of the webinar will also be available on CDE's website and social media platforms later today. For now, I'd like to throw it over to John to kick things off for us. John, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Alex, and welcome everyone to our webinar. Thank you for attending. We are going to run through today Codeifai, ASX code CDE, our 2024 strategy pivot. This is a significant and the most significant pivot that the company's ever taken, and it moves us away from the traditional brand protection market into more the consumer engagement market and the brand solution market. We basically now provide a code for everyone and everything based on our Connect platform, and we're one of the most robust and historically structured Connect or platforms in this marketplace. There's an argument that anyone can generate a QR code, which is fairly true, but it's a different thing when you have to manage QR codes, manage the interactions between brands and their consumers. And that's where our robust platform has shown its pedigree and its powerfulness. You may recall that Connect started protecting important items like infant formula going to China, and it's the pedigree of that provides us with a unique position in this Connect in this QR code generation and management space. On the right-hand side of this slide here, you'll see that this is a new innovation that we introduced, AI QR codes, and it's a way in which the standard traditional, you might call it, vanilla QR code can now be adapted by a brand to create visual interest, and that QR code, for example, is fully scannable on any smartphone. Again, this platform has generated and managed 250 million codes, and we now move from YPB to Codeifai. We completely rebuilt, we restructured, we retargeted. We moved from physical, which was our historical tracer and scanner technology, to digital technology, from anti-counterfeit to engagement first. And all the time and funds that we've put into development of this create an advanced cloud-based digital platform that really stands alone and is a powerhouse for this marketplace. Next slide. So it's important to see that this company now is going into self-service SaaS. We had a SaaS platform, but this is self-service SaaS, where the strategy behind this is to increase our addressable market, market access, reduce sales cycles, reduce cost to acquire. And there's a saying that data is the new, fuel or oil in the world. And this strategy creates a fabulous data collection and management capability. And it's driven by subscriber growth, which then leads to targeting those subscribers to sign up to the platform. And it sits there working 24/7. It's an amazing strategy in our opinion, and the right strategy for the future of the company. Thanks, Martin. Next slide, and which you can take over. I'll hand over to Martin Ross, our Chief Operating Officer, and he'll run through some of our new markets and geographies and some slides on the business itself. Over to you, Martin.
Look, thanks very much, John, and I'm delighted to be here today to share with you our journey and what it means for our business moving forward. As John mentioned previously, is that we've gone through a full strategy shift, and with us now focusing on a digital-first product offering, these are the, I suppose, early sprouts of momentum that we're receiving. So if you look at these particular verticals, we've entered into the high-value nutraceuticals, focusing on the PhotoLogic Henry Bloom's line of product. That's through our digital transfer technology, Brand Reporter. Essentially, for people who don't know, it's track and trace in a supply chain and focuses on logistics management. Again, through our new ads strategy, focusing on our specific products, we picked up one of the largest contract packages in Peru for rice, all focused around providing consumer engagement and rules-based brand protection for their customers. And again, because of the product scalability, that's not only been one of our best performing customers outside of Australia, we're also seeing continued growth. In a very, very short amount of time, we're now covering over 50 different SKUs and over 21 different companies. So it really is a great success story of our new productization. Moving into the recycling industry, again, focusing on Protect Code, we've been able to re-engineer that product line to focus in on the recycling industry, which is a huge issue in Southeast Asian and EMA-based businesses, because what's actually happening is that where there are these recyclable vending machines, there is huge fraud starting to happen because the current solution out in market doesn't focus on what's known as double redemption, where our product focuses squarely on double redemption. So in premise, people take their deposited item, they go to a machine, our code is read in that machine, and it is a one-time use only code, which means once the product is returned to that vending machine, that code is essentially burned. That's all built out of our platform. And just very quickly, we've got our ongoing story within the heavy industry and mining sector. That is a safeguarding product and a proprietary lockout system. Again, our track and trace system is used in conjunction with that. But the big takeout from all of this is the launch of our fully self-service SaaS product, which John mentioned before. That has huge market potential, and we'll talk a little bit later on in the slide on how that is such a huge value add to our product offering. A few things about the particular product itself is not only did it help us expand into a new market, but because we've done it not only all in-house, but it is simply an extension of the Protect Code and Brand Reporter offering. It was complex to do, but we had the tools in-house to know how to do it. And the big takeaway for us is that you can scale the product up through the use of search engine optimization, Google Ads, and meta-based marketing. And to add another tool within the CAP, we added the Canva integration as well, which has been a huge, I suppose, win for us as well. Shows the market relevance of the product, which I think is just so important. In terms of that particular product, to safeguard and to make sure that is a market-leading product now and well into the future, we've continually developed and launched associated products with the offering line. So AI QR codes are one of them. We see that as being a huge growth area because if you look at places like the US, 90% of businesses are now using QR codes in their marketing assets. More importantly, if you look at places like the UK, more than 80% of consumers are now scanning on a QR code every day. So it's a huge advantage for QR codes, and Connect QR is taking that one step further by making incredibly graphical and good-looking QR codes like this one. And the best part of all, as John said, it's readable with a native smartphone. And very recently, we launched short URLs. That's got the benefit to not only work where physical media works for QR codes, short URLs do that in a digital atmosphere. So who would be markets for that? That would be digital agencies, small to medium businesses, anyone who's working with a digital asset, say an EDM, say a MailChimp, right? Or anyone who's also using physical media. So you can take URLs that work in the digital space and then also overlay that with a QR code for your physical media. So realistically, you're able to tell a story through data. And as John said, in some cases, data is becoming the new crude oil. And again, it's all available through Codeifai. Connect QR is the product. In terms of some big growth market projections, the URL shortening market is expected to reach around 36.2 billion by 2032. But the more important number to take out of that is the continual annual growth rate. So that what we're saying is that this is not going away. These are all drivers to now add to revenue to the business. And because of rise like social media platforms like Twitter and Facebook and any meta suite of products, they can't take what's known as long URL. So they need to take a short URL for additional content. You would come to someone like us for that short URL-based content. And look a little bit more on why they're important. Ease of sharing, enhanced user experience, but the big thing is it's all around the analytics and tracking. So when you use a normal URL to a website, there is no tracking there. So you've got no ability to understand the data behind the clicks. With our URLs, or what's known as short URLs, you're able to track clicks, measure the data, and then use the analytics, of course, to refine your marketing strategy. So again, the key takeout from our AI QR code generator, Connect QR being an analytics and tracking magnet, means that you're simply taking our product and turning it into a value add for anything that you do for both a digital product or physical media. In terms of Connect QR's highly competitive and lucrative market, we have built a huge moat around our offering. So if you look at our competitors like Unicode, QR Tiger and Bitly, they do an offering, whether that's a static or dynamic or short URLs. That's all they do. But with Codeifai, we're offering everything. So you can come to us for a static code, a dynamic code, a generative AI QR code, short URLs, but one step up from that being our current serialized QR codes and track and trace. And what that gives brands and users the ability to do is grow with us as they grow. It means that we're being able to build continuity within our product line. And right now, we are the only ones that we know of that are offering a full product suite. The other thing that this does for Codeifai's business is that this also gives us an active database of users to go and upsell our products to those users. And it's a ready-made targeted list of people that we know want QR codes and or short URLs. So we can then start doing analysts as a business and saying, you know what, Coca-Cola started using our dynamic codes. They're an ideal candidate for serialized QR codes. And that list is going to continually grow. And how we're going to build that funnel is through the use of our marketing channels. I'm just going to pass over to John to talk about how this product has added revenue potential to the business.
Thank you, Martin. So if I can show shareholders the graphics of what we have done in this pivot, is that in the QR code generation and management space, we were playing in the top part of the pyramid. We had a handful of customers, albeit they were high value customers. You know, the average customer could be maybe $100,000 a year. But at the bottom of the pyramid is an enormous marketplace of small businesses. So if you think about this, when next you go into the street, you'll see plumbers' vans driving along with QR codes on them. You'll see people using QR codes more on YouTube content, on ads. You see it on, news services like CNN, scan this QR code. It's just absolutely enormous. So what we've done is we've gone down the pyramid. So the average revenue per user, albeit lower, but there are many, many more users. And some of the success stories that we've seen in that previous competitor slide just translate into significant revenues. And if I could just reflect on one of the competitors named Bitly. Bitly started with URL shortening and a few years ago bought QR code generation and management businesses. And on their own reporting, their revenues have increased from $6 million in US in 2021 to $100 million in 2023. And essentially, we started with serialization and pretty heavy duty QR code management and a platform. We have now added such things as AI QR codes, as we showed before, URL shortening. So we are now an absolute full service competitor to these other companies, and there's absolutely no reason with our trajectory why our numbers can't show significant growth as well. So I just thought that was relevant to try and graphically show you why we've done this pivot. Martin, next slide, please.
Thanks, John. So look, I think that's a perfect segue into, sort of forward-looking in terms of what the business looks like. So those who have been following our story have seen that we've cracked the first 1,000 users of our business in terms of the Connect QR product. That is no easy feat, because in a relatively short amount of time, we've been able to scale up with over 1,000 users. That has been helped with the use of our integration with Canva, where we're seeing around 31% of new subscriptions coming from that platform. And then if you look at our recent month-on-month growth, we're over 60%. And we're a relatively new entrant into the full self-service QR code generation and management space. Now, what this means for our business is that we're going to continue adding these integration partners like Canva. We're going to focus on the Adobes of the world, the Figmas, the Workatos, the Zapiers, the HubSpots. But more importantly, what that's going to do for us as a business is it's going to build what we call our top of funnel. Now, that top of funnel is forever so important for any SaaS business, because that will then give you the ability to run what's known as conversion campaigns for those who come from marketing lingo. And those conversion campaigns are specifically targeted to new users of our product, and they're also targeted through Google Analytics, Meta, and Canva users to convert to high levels of subscription within our business model. The reason why we focused on Canva as a particular integration has first come off the rank is because of their market relevance with our Connect QR product. So if you look at it, it was really a perfect fit. And the focus for us is really going to be bringing more of those integration partners online so we can build the top of our funnel to then run the conversion strategies to essentially continue to grow our subscriber growth. And in a relatively short amount of time, if you look at the initial responses that we've been receiving, we've got about 1.9 million impressions in a short amount of time of 8 weeks. You can see the product has got specific market relevance because across all social channels that we place our products on, we're seeing huge amounts of increases in terms of impressions. Some of the numbers alone in Facebook and Instagram, I think, speak for themselves. But if you take anything away from this one presentation that we're providing, It's the fact that our average conversion rate is about 8.9%, whereas the industry standard for a SaaS product is 2.4. That number alone shares with you the adoptions of QR codes and short URLs in the marketplace. And to have a product which is quite young in its infancy that we launched, have an 8.9% average conversion rate through Google, I think is quite spectacular. And it just goes to show that the longer we run this product, the more and more users that we're going to capture and we're going to be able to convert. So I think it's a really, really important story to tell. And I'm going to hand over to John now to finish off the presentation in terms of how we're future-proofing our business. John, over to you.
Thank you, Martin. Yes, so the message that I want to make clear here is that there is further opportunity for this business, enormous further opportunity for this business, as the world moves from what's called a one-dimensional barcode or a GTIN from GS1 to a QR code. On the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see a depiction of how we see the transition of the code that you scan in a supermarket to a QR code. That code on the left-hand side marks every bottle of Coca-Cola, packet of chips or whatever it is in the world, and billions of products have that one-dimensional barcode on it. Although the issue is that it can't carry very much data. GS1, which is the global standard organisation for coding, has embarked on a program called GS1 Digital Link. This is happening. The major retailers in Australia are engaging in it, and there's currently, we are aware, significant efforts to update scanning technology within all manner of retail to be able to scan a QR code. We've worked with brands for years about their so-called real estate, which is their label, and very few labels have the ability to put a QR code and a one-dimensional barcode just because of the real estate and the space on it. And that's one of the reasons driving this GS1 Digital Link. This is a really exciting and impactful opportunity for our business. Not only are we the only platform and competitor that can provide serialization, so if you want to know, for example, where the consumer is scanning individual items purchased from, for example, a major retailer, serialization really helps and adds an enormous depth to the data that is able to be collected. And this means that within 5 years, we estimate, every single product that is manufactured, is labelled, is packaged, will have a QR code. And the companies that therefore, package and own these brands will have to come to a QR code generation and management platform. Individual brands are unlikely to build their own management platforms, and we pass the data straight through. But while we are doing this, generating and managing QR codes, imagine the value that we are creating in what's called a large language model for AI management and analysis of this data. And so we are positioning ourselves to be a major player in this new coming wave in global packaging. And there's absolutely no reason why we won't be able to certainly take our fair share of the market. And I think this is really a tremendously exciting development for the future of the business. Thanks, Martin. So in addition to that catalyst, which is going to help in the probably medium to longer term, there are some near-term value catalysts that are important to the business. We've now proven how important integrations are, and the Canva integration, as Martin said, has shown to be providing 30-odd% of our subscribers since we launched that in August. And remember, that's only a couple of months ago. We've got upcoming integrations, which are planned by our technical team of notably Zapier and Adobe, and there's some more listed on the other slide. Again, as I mentioned to you, the GS1 Digital Link, it's a tremendous medium to longer term catalyst. The SEO and Google self-service SaaS that we are doing is showing tremendous growth, and as Martin mentioned, fantastic take up where a standard self-service SaaS product might have a 2.4% uptake. The numbers that we are experiencing are really exceeding that significantly, and so I think that this shows fantastic near to medium-term growth prospects for the business. I think lastly, just to remind you of our board and management and our shareholder structure, very, very sadly, just recently, we saw the passing of Gerard Eakin, who was a fantastic supporter of myself, the management team, and the company. And he sadly passed away very unexpectedly in October, a few weeks ago. We miss him dearly. Colin has known the company for quite some time, and he stepped in as a replacement non-exec director for Gerard. Martin and George Sue's been with the company since inception as well. Over on the right-hand side, there's 2.6 odd billion shares on issue. And it's important to realise that it's very tightly held. 64% of the top 20 is management. I'm the largest shareholder of the business, having personally contributed and more recently personally contributed significant capital to the company. So it's very well held, and 75% held is in the top 20. So with that overview of the business and the opportunities, I'll stop the presentation now and maybe hand to Alex to feed some questions that have come through. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Martin. We have had a couple of questions come through. We've only got a couple of questions, so it won't be too long on the Q&A session. But to start, I'll direct this one to you, Martin. During the presentation, you talked about your competitors. How is CDE and I guess Connect QR as well presenting a superior solution to those competitors that you mentioned?
Yeah, sure. Look, that's a really good question, and I thank the person who has written it. I may just reshare this presentation if that's okay. So let's just focus on slide 12 for a moment. If you look at the moat that we have built, there are companies out there that do a dynamic QR code or an AI QR code. You can see here the three largest players. They both do dynamic and static, or in Bitly's case, dynamic and short URLs. Our moat or our competitive advantage is what I would say comes down to three things. Number one, we're doing the static and dynamic QR codes, but that's coupled with URL shortening, that's coupled with AI QR codes, that's coupled with serialization of QR codes, which is not an easy thing to do. You can't just go and decide to do serialized QR codes. That's coupled with track and trace, and that's coupled with a rules-based brand protection offering, none of which the other competitors are doing. But the larger story that this tells to the person who wrote the message is that it helps brands tell a story through data, and it's a way in which brands can amalgamate their data in one place. right? So if you're a Coca-Cola, you may not want to go to QR code Tiger for a dynamic QR code, Bitly for a short URL, Codeifai for a serialized QR code. You'll be able to go to Codeifai to do all three of those things, which means that brands can more effectively generate and manage their QR codes, as John has pointed out. But more importantly, it's all around mitigating data risks and making sure that that data is easily and readily available for those users of the product. And what that means for Codeifai from an investor's point of view is, if I can just double down and say that with the launch of Connect QR, that's building our business with the ability to build a ready-made list of a database of users already using QR codes and URLs. So we're going to start being able to develop content to do a McDonald's upsell style of process to bring people into other areas of our business, which up until now have been, I guess, it's taken us slightly longer because they're enterprise sales. Connect QR removes that objection for us, essentially. Does that answer the question, Alex?
Yeah, I think so, Martin. I think you've expanded on it quite nicely there. So I guess flowing on from that, obviously you talked about the integration of Canva. How has that integration led to an increase in subscribers?
Well, look, just if I could circle back to it, 31% of new users have come to us from Canva. So there's the number. And it just goes to show that if we bring on the other integration partners such as Adobe, Figma, Workato, Zapier, HubSpot, just to name a few, that's also going to add further subscriber growth to the mill. Because what that does, Alex, is that it helps our business expand our net further without increasing the cost base. But if there's one particular thing that this takes, that people take away from this, it's that the biggest challenge that SaaS businesses have got is building what's called digital trust. And having reference integrations like Google, like Canva, are huge, what we call marks of trust for our product. So in terms of how does it increase our subscriber growth, it gets the product out to more people, it gets put in front of more eyeballs. And how does that help with conversion? Well, we're perceived as a mark of trust because we're already integrated with businesses that have got that perceived mark of trust already.
Thanks, Martin. Now, you in a similar vein, so you mentioned the number there, I believe 31% subscribers from Canva. You also mentioned potential integrations with the likes of Adobe, Zapier, and Figma, as we can see on the slide deck there. How do you envisage that those integrations will impact subscriber growth?
Well, it's going to put the product in front of more eyeballs. So realistically, if you look at Adobe, they've got 33 million active subscribers for their physical media, right? So it's going to put our product in front of those eyeballs that have got those active subscriptions. But what we'll be able to do from a advertising point of view is that we'll be able to design and develop ad campaigns to target people that are using Adobe's product. Again, opening up to a new market gateway of users to advertise to come and use our products and not the competitors.
Thanks, Martin. Now we've had a couple of questions to finish off. Now, what are the near-term high-growth revenue opportunities for the business, and how are you geared to achieve high growth in the near term?
I'll take that one. In the near term, the high value opportunities are really with the existing business. So, for example, the EcoCan business, that is going to provide potentially more high value near-term revenue. Frankly, the self-service SaaS business is not a high revenue near term, and depends what you call near term. But if you're talking a number of months or a quarter or a quarter and a half, really the opportunities are with the legacy business. We're seeing really good value opportunities coming to us out of China, and China's been performing very well. So that is more a near-term high value. But the value of this is that if you can of the self-service SaaS and the Connect QR is that if you consider that the market has those operators that we have outlined to you, the likes of Bitly, QR Tiger, and Unicode. They're all venture-backed businesses, and they've had quite a bit of money invested in them to build these platforms. We've built the platform out of our existing resources, and we started building our platform in 2016 at a time when no one knew what a QR code was, because it was prior to COVID. And COVID has created, to an extent, the QR opportunity, because they have been so widely used in tracking and other COVID-related activities. And so really this is a new marketplace. In a very short period of time, in like 2 years, these companies that we compete with have developed really significant revenue streams. And that's really our strategy. Our strategy is to keep this investment in SEO and Google advertising, meta activities, and build up a really strong long-term recurring revenue business, is how I can answer that.
I think if I was just to jump in on John's points, is that, Dev, you've said what are the near-term high revenue opportunities? It's a multiple effect. So if you look at the business originally, when John came back in, essentially they were focusing on 2 products. What we've done in this time is that we've re-engineered our technologies. We've deployed multiple revenue products from the one product. So Connect is essentially the mothership, and then out of Connect spawns saleable products, right? So that's now Connect QR, Brand Reporter, Protect Code. Now, under those legs, you've got more revenue opportunities. So if you look at Connect QR, there's revenue opportunities through the use of AI QR codes, integrations, URL shortening. The near term for us is to advertise into those markets and get new subscribers. So that's going to help with short-term growth. If you look at Protect Code, it's going to be completing on and further rolling out deals, as John has mentioned, around EcoCam. That is one of the best opportunities that the new pivot has created, because it's high volume, it's low cost to acquire, and it's done digitally. So there's no need to scale up sales teams and development teams to complete on those opportunities. But again, if you take anything away from the presentation, you can see that the revenue opportunities are there because of our conversion rate through Google. You can see the ability is there for the business to make more money under its new process because we're digitally focused. And the third thing is that our revenue and the growth of our product line is going to be derived from integrations into third parties such as Canva, Adobe, Figma, Zapier. And then it's going to be for the business to be able to advertise into those markets to get subscribers. I think that's really what the important part is there.
Thanks, Martin. Thanks, John. That's a very comprehensive overview of that question. So I hope that that answered it for you. And just finally, understand, we're heading into the last month and a half of 2024, heading into 2025. To finish, can you update us with any potential near-term milestones or developments that you can share with us today?
Yeah, thanks, Alex. As I've said in the slide about near-term value catalysts, in the short term, really we would like to see the continuation of our success with subscriber growth, and that's going to be the most important long-term, I suppose, outcome for the business. And in the short term, it would really be around the deals like the EcoCan deal and probably China in the short term. We actually are hopeful of some interesting business out of China in the short term. So I think in the scope of 2024. I think in 2024, what we've done is we've built this platform, we've launched it successfully. We've seen good growth from our Connect QR platform. We've seen a continuation of our revenues from our historical business. And 2025 brings us into a realm of focus on self-service SaaS and building a long-term recurring revenue stream out of our Connect QR, and using the Connect QR as a magnet for other opportunities, as Martin mentioned, such as the Adira revenue opportunity in Peru, where our digital marketing activities have found a new customer that we haven't had to fly over to Peru to integrate. And in that regard, this Connect QR for our historical serialization business really is a magnet, and that's the long-term high-value recurring revenue picture that we are painting. Over.
Fantastic. Look, that's all the time we have today. Thank you all for joining me. And I'd also like to thank John and Martin for taking the time to present for us. As mentioned before, a recording of the webinar will be on CDE's website and social media platforms later today. John, before I let you go, do you have any final comments to leave with us today?
No, I think we've covered everything. But, I would say, look, watch this space. We are poised to become a significant player in this revolutionary both QR code generation and management sector, and also URL shortening. And go and have a look at, for example, URL shortening. It's a fascinating opportunity in opening up affiliate marketing opportunities. And as I said before, we've got an AI strategy as well that we are developing with this business that really makes our activity turn into the development of a large language model, and the revenue opportunity and the importance of that can't be underestimated at this stage. So watch this space. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Martin, do you have anything to add before we go?
Look, as long as everyone looks at the URL shortener by going to connectqr.ai and signing up, I think that is the key point that John was trying to make. But no, nothing further from me. And look, we greatly appreciate everyone's time, support, and we're going to work in lockstep to make this an ongoing successful business. So thanks very much.
Fantastic. Well, that wraps it up for us here. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.